Beyond the dazzling spotlights and extravagant celebrations, Hollywood harbored a shadowy underbelly, one riddled with hidden scandals and disturbing tales. Certain actors found themselves entangled in criminal activities, controversies, or dubious dealings. In some instances, studios shielded their stars by bribing witnesses or silencing the press. In others, celebrities exploited their fame to evade justice. Here, we reveal the top 20 most scandal-ridden actors of the Golden Age. Roscoe, Fatty Arbuckle. Kicking off our list is Roscoe, Fatty Arbuckle, a pioneer of silent film comedy known for his portly frame and hilarious slapstick antics that delighted audiences. At the peak of his career, he amassed immense wealth and fame. However, in 1921, his life took a dark turn. Arbuckle hosted a raucous party at a San Francisco hotel, where a young actress named Virginia Rapp fell gravely ill and died shortly after. Whispers swirled that Arbuckle had assaulted her or played a role in her demise. Sensational headlines branded him a monster, and he was charged with manslaughter, implying authorities believed his actions contributed to Rapp's death. Despite being acquitted after 3 trials, the public had already condemned him. Theaters boycotted his films, and fans felt betrayed. Some saw the case as proof of Hollywood's debauchery, excessive drinking and reckless behavior running rampant. Others maintained Arbuckle was innocent, ruined by vicious rumors. Regardless, his career never rebounded. To many, he remains a stark symbol of early Hollywood's corruption, where private demons eclipsed professional triumphs. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the dashing leading man who brought swashbuckling heroes to life in classics like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood. With his roguish grin and magnetic confidence, he became the epitome of adventure. Off-screen, however, Flynn was infamous for his wild lifestyle, including a penchant for romancing much younger women. In 1942, he faced statutory rape charges involving 2 underage girls. The scandal dominated headlines, threatening his heroic image. Though acquitted, the stigma never faded. Rumors persisted that Flynn continued pursuing risky relationships while indulging in heavy drinking and lavish yacht parties. His catchphrase, "In like Flynn," hinted at his swift conquests. Some believed it also alluded to his questionable behavior. While fans still celebrate his on-screen charisma, others view him as a cautionary tale of Hollywood's double standards, where star power often outweighed accountability. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is revered as one of cinema's greatest visionaries, the genius behind the iconic tramp character who charmed millions. Yet, his personal life was mired in controversy, with critics labeling him corrupt due to his treatment of women and political entanglements. Chaplin had a troubling pattern of marrying teenagers. One bride was just 16 to his 35, sparking outrage. He also endured a paternity suit, losing a significant sum despite inconclusive evidence. Worse still, J. Edgar Hoover's FBI surveilled him for suspected communist sympathies during the Red Scare, forcing Chaplin to flee to Switzerland. While his artistic legacy is undeniable, his personal scandals left many questioning his morality. Was he a misunderstood artist or a manipulative figure who evaded consequences? The debate endures. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery, the gruff yet endearing star of the Champ and Grand Hotel, had a sinister rumor haunting him: the death of comedian Ted Healy, founder of the Three Stooges. In 1937, Healy died after a brutal altercation outside a nightclub. Some alleged Beery and 2 accomplices delivered the fatal beating, though official reports blamed alcohol. No charges were filed, but whispers persisted that MGM paid hush money to protect Beery's career. Combined with his reputation for bullying co-stars, Beery's name became synonymous with Hollywood's ability to bury scandals. Whether true or not, his story reflects an era when studios shielded their stars at any cost. George Raft. George Raft epitomized the silver screen gangster in films like Scarface, 1932, with his slicked-back hair and razor-sharp suits. Yet, his off-screen life blurred the lines between acting and reality. Growing up in New York's Hell's Kitchen, Raft befriended actual mobsters, including Bugsy Siegel. Throughout his career, rumors tied him to organized crime, mediating disputes or laundering money. Though never convicted, his gambling debts and shady associations fueled speculation. To audiences, Raft's authenticity made him perfect for gangster roles. But was it acting, or was he simply playing himself? His life remains a tantalizing mystery of Hollywood's intersection with the underworld. Frank Sinatra. While Frank Sinatra is celebrated as one of the greatest singers of all time, he also made his mark as an actor in iconic films like From Here to Eternity, 1953. His velvety voice and effortless charisma turned him into a cultural icon, but beneath the polished exterior lay a whirlwind of controversy. Most notably, his alleged ties to organized crime. The FBI maintained extensive files on Sinatra, documenting his associations with notorious mobsters. Rumors swirled that he leveraged these connections to secure lucrative performances at top-tier venues, though he was never formally convicted of any criminal activity. Beyond the underworld, Sinatra also dabbled in political influence, openly endorsing favored politicians and allegedly orchestrating backroom deals. His close friendship with President John F. Kennedy drew scrutiny, particularly when reports surfaced linking Sinatra to shadowy figures in the criminal underworld. To some, Sinatra was merely a charismatic entertainer who moved effortlessly between high society and the gritty underbelly of power. To others, he represented a darker side of fame, one where influence, favors, and questionable alliances blurred the lines between legality and corruption. Whether myth or reality, the whispers of Sinatra's dealings ensured his legacy remained as complex as it was legendary. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum embodied the brooding, laid-back anti-hero in film noir masterpieces like Out of the Past, 1947, and The Night of the Hunter, 1955. With his deep voice and effortless cool, he became the epitome of Hollywood's tough yet enigmatic leading man. Off-screen, however, Mitchum rejected the polished facade of stardom, embracing a rebellious persona that earned him a reputation as Hollywood's ultimate bad boy. In 1948, Mitchum's carefree attitude landed him in serious trouble when police raided a house party and arrested him for marijuana possession. At the time, the scandal was explosive. Headlines screamed about a major movie star caught indulging in illegal substances, shattering the era's strict moral expectations. Mitchum served a brief jail sentence, and the incident threatened to derail his career. Critics seized on the arrest as proof of Hollywood's seedy underbelly, where stars flouted the law behind closed doors. Yet, Mitchum's nonchalant response, famously quipping that prison felt like Palm Springs without the riffraff, only cemented his devil-may-care image. With studio-backed damage control and a carefully managed comeback, he returned to the screen as if the scandal had never happened. While not tied to organized crime or financial corruption, Mitchum's brush with the law exposed the industry's double standards. Stars could stumble, but with the right connections and PR magic, redemption was always within reach. His story remains a quintessential example of Golden Age Hollywood's ability to forgive or simply ignore the sins of its most bankable rebels. Lionel Atwill. Lionel Atwill carved out a niche as one of Hollywood's most memorable horror actors, delivering chilling performances in classics like Mystery of the Wax Museum, 1933, and Son of Frankenstein, 1939. With his imposing stature and piercing gaze, he became synonymous with aristocratic madmen and sinister villains. Yet behind the scenes, Atwill's real-life drama eclipsed even his most twisted on-screen roles. In the early 1940s, Atwill became embroiled in a scandal that sent shockwaves through conservative Hollywood. Reports surfaced of a debauched party at his home, where guests allegedly engaged in activities that violated the era's strict moral codes. When called to testify in court, Atwill was charged with perjury, accused of lying under oath to conceal the gathering's more salacious details. Though the exact nature of the party remained shrouded in whispers, rumors swirled about group indiscretions that scandalized the industry. While Atwill avoided prison, the damage to his reputation was irreversible. Studios, wary of backlash, quietly blacklisted him from major productions. Though he continued working in smaller roles, his days as a leading horror icon were over. To the public, he became a cautionary tale, a symbol of Hollywood's hidden decadence and the swift downfall that awaited those caught in moral controversies. Decades later, Atwill's crimes might seem tame by modern standards, but in Golden Age Hollywood, where image was everything, his perjury trial marked him as a corrupt figure, a man whose off-screen secrets proved far darker than any fictional villain he ever portrayed. His career's abrupt collapse remains a stark reminder of the industry's unforgiving moral policing, where one scandal could erase a star's legacy overnight. Spade Cooley. Spade Cooley reigned as the undisputed king of Western swing, a charismatic fiddler whose lively tunes and cowboy charm made him a beloved entertainer. Though primarily a musician, he dabbled in Hollywood, appearing in Western films and TV shows where his folksy persona delighted audiences. But behind the foot-stomping melodies and on-screen smiles lurked a man capable of shocking brutality. In 1961, Cooley's life shattered when he was convicted of murdering his wife, Ella Mae Evans, in a crime of horrific violence. During a drunken, jealous rage, he savagely beat and kicked her for hours in front of their teenage daughter, leaving her to die from internal injuries. Unlike the whispers and cover-ups that often surrounded Hollywood scandals, Cooley's guilt was undeniable. He stood trial, faced damning evidence, and was sentenced to life in prison. Fans reeled at the contradiction. How could the same man who played cheerful dance hall music commit such a monstrous act? Those close to him revealed a darker truth. Offstage, Cooley was possessive, volatile, and prone to violent outbursts. His public persona had masked years of domestic turmoil. After 14 years in prison, Cooley was granted a brief furlough in 1969 to perform at a police benefit concert, a surreal attempt at redemption. But just hours after taking the stage one last time, he suffered a fatal heart attack, dying before he could taste full freedom again. Spade Cooley's story stands apart in Hollywood's annals of scandal. This wasn't mere rumor or moral panic. It was a cold, proven case of domestic homicide. His downfall forces a grim reckoning. Even the most radiant stars can harbor darkness, and fame is no shield against the consequences of violence. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was the epitome of Hollywood royalty, a luminous star who dominated screens from the 1930s through the 1950s in classics like Grand Hotel, 1932, and Mildred Pierce, 1945, for which she won an Oscar. She meticulously crafted her public persona as a self-made woman who clawed her way up from poverty to become the very definition of glamour and grit. Yet behind the sequins and shoulder pads, whispers of cruelty, manipulation, and buried scandals swirled for decades. The most damning revelations came from her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, whose 1978 memoir, Mommy Dearest, painted Joan as a monstrously abusive parent. The book detailed chilling accounts of late-night punishments, violent outbursts, and psychological torment, stories so extreme that they permanently reshaped Crawford's legacy. While some defenders dismissed the accusations as exaggerated, the book's impact was undeniable, exposing a stark contrast between the poised star and the alleged tyrant at home. Beyond family drama, rumors persisted that early in her career, Crawford posed for illicit photographs, images studios allegedly paid to suppress to protect her rising stardom. Though never proven, such tales underscored Hollywood's machinery of secrecy, where scandals were buried under money and influence. On set, Crawford was infamous for her iron-fisted control, firing staff over minor errors and clashing with co-stars. She demanded perfection, but her methods often crossed into ruthlessness. While never charged with crimes, her reputation for wielding power with cold calculation led many to label her as corrupt in a different sense, morally, if not legally. Decades after her death, Joan Crawford remains a polarizing figure. Was she a relentless perfectionist trapped by the pressures of fame, or a calculating abuser who hid behind her star power? The debate endures, a testament to the dark complexities lurking beneath Hollywood's golden facade. Clark Gable. Dubbed the King of Hollywood, Clark Gable reigned supreme with his magnetic charm in classics like Gone with the Wind, 1939, and It Happened One Night, 1934. Audiences loved his roguish grin and effortless confidence, but behind the scenes, whispers swirled about a darker side, one shielded by the studio machine. One of the most persistent rumors involves a 1945 hit-and-run accident where Gable allegedly struck and injured, or in some accounts, killed, a pedestrian. According to Hollywood lore, MGM executives swiftly intervened, bribing witnesses and authorities to bury the story before it could tarnish Gable's golden image. With no official records or trial, the truth remains murky, but the tale endured as a prime example of how studios protected their biggest stars at any cost. Even outside this unproven scandal, Gable enjoyed privileges few could fathom. MGM routinely smoothed over his messy personal life, from drunken escapades to turbulent affairs, ensuring his reputation stayed untarnished. Co-workers whispered that his status let him evade consequences that would have crushed lesser actors, whether it was on-set tantrums or reckless behavior off-camera. The hit-and-run rumor, though never confirmed, epitomizes old Hollywood's culture of secrecy. Was Gable a careless man saved by the system, or merely a victim of exaggerated gossip? Decades later, the question lingers. Did the king play by his own rules, or did the studio crown him above the law? His legacy remains a blend of undeniable star power and the unsettling possibility that some sins were too expensive to see print. Adolphe Menjou. With his trademark mustache and impeccable tailoring, Adolphe Menjou epitomized old-world sophistication in films like The Front Page, 1931, and A Star is Born, 1937. But off-screen, the actor's polished veneer concealed a far more divisive role, one that would cement his place in Hollywood's darkest political chapter. During the Red Scare of the 1940s and 50s, Menjou became one of the most vocal supporters of the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, which targeted suspected communists in the entertainment industry. As a friendly witness, he eagerly named colleagues, many of them former friends, accusing them of subversive leanings. His testimony contributed to the blacklisting of countless writers, directors, and actors whose careers were destroyed on mere suspicion. Critics viewed Menjou as a self-serving opportunist, leveraging his star status to curry favor with authorities while others suffered. His fervent anti-communist speeches amplified the era's paranoia, turning artistic dissent into a punishable offense. Supporters, however, hailed him as a patriot defending America from ideological threats. Yet history's judgment has been less kind. Where Menjou saw principle, others saw betrayal. Where he claimed duty, victims saw cowardice. His legacy remains entangled with the McCarthy era's moral compromises, a reminder that in Hollywood's golden age, the sharpest knives often came clad in velvet. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand was the radiant queen of silent comedy, her impish charm and razor-sharp timing lighting up screens alongside legends like Charlie Chaplin and Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Yet behind her infectious laughter lay a life steeped in scandal, one that would eclipse her stardom in a haze of murder, drugs, and Hollywood's darkest whispers. The first shadow fell in 1922, when director William Desmond Taylor, a close friend and rumored lover, was found murdered in his home. Normand, one of the last people to see him alive, became entangled in the investigation. Though never charged, the press insinuated she knew more than she admitted, hinting at heated arguments over drugs or money. The case remains unsolved, but the stigma clung to her. Then, in 1924, gunfire erupted at a party hosted by Normand's wealthy lover, oil heir Cortlandt S. Dines. When Dines shot and critically injured a guest, Normand was again present. Another crime scene, another headline. Though blameless, the pattern was damning. Violence seemed to orbit her. Studios, fearing her association with chaos, withdrew their support. Plagued by tuberculosis and a morphine addiction, allegedly stemming from studio-prescribed energy shots, Normand's career crumbled. By her death at age 37, the woman who once defined joy on screen had become a cautionary tale, a symbol of Hollywood's ability to glamorize and then discard its stars. Mary Miles Minter. With her golden curls and angelic smile, Mary Miles Minter embodied the perfect ingenue, a child star molded by Hollywood into a virginal symbol of early cinema. But behind the studio-crafted innocence lurked a scandal so dark it would eclipse her career forever. The unsolved murder of director William Desmond Taylor, a crime that exposed the rotten core of Tinseltown's golden age. In 1922, when Taylor was found shot dead in his home, investigators discovered passionate letters from 19-year-old Minter to the 49-year-old director. The correspondence hinted at a clandestine affair, though Minter insisted their bond was paternal. The real bombshell? Rumors swirled that Minter's domineering stage mother, Charlotte Shelby, a former actress herself, had flown into a rage upon discovering the relationship. Some theorized Shelby pulled the trigger to protect her daughter's marketable purity. Though neither Minter nor Shelby was charged, the damage was irreversible. The press painted Minter as either a lovesick pawn or an accomplice to silence. Studio heads, fearing the stench of scandal, blacklisted her overnight. Her mother's erratic behavior, changing stories, allegedly buying back Minter's letters, only deepened the mystery. A legacy of unanswered questions. Minter retired at 22, her reputation in tatters. Decades later, historians still debate. Was Shelby the killer, motivated by jealousy or financial control? Taylor had reportedly considered cutting ties with the family. Did Minter know more than she admitted? Her later claims of Taylor's noble death raised eyebrows. Why were key pieces of evidence, like Taylor's pajama jacket, mysteriously lost? Tom Neal. With his smoldering glare and rough-edged charisma, Tom Neal carved a niche as the quintessential B-movie tough guy in films like Detour, 1945, a cult classic that epitomized film noir's shadowy desperation. But while audiences thrilled to his on-screen menace, Neal's off-camera life spiraled into a darkness no script could rival. A saga of jealousy, brutality, and murder that exposed the man behind the myth, the brawl that shocked Hollywood. Neal's first public descent into infamy came in 1951, when he nearly killed fellow actor Franchot Tone in a savage fistfight over actress Barbara Payton. The love triangle turned bloody after Tone, a respected Broadway star, began dating Payton, Neal's volatile ex. Enraged, Neal ambushed Tone outside a party, punching him unconscious and leaving him with a fractured skull, brain hemorrhages, and permanent facial damage. The assault made headlines, but Neal dodged prison, paying a mere fine. The message was clear. Hollywood's code of silence still protected its own. Neal's capacity for violence only deepened. In 1965, his third wife, Gail Evatt, was found dead in their Palm Springs home, shot through the back of the head. Neal claimed it was a cleaning accident, but prosecutors argued he'd executed her in cold blood after she threatened to leave him. This time, the system didn't look away. Convicted of involuntary manslaughter, Neal served 6 years in prison, his once promising career reduced to tabloid fodder. Paroled in 1971, Neal emerged a broken man. His attempts to revive his acting career fizzled. The industry that once tolerated his rage now shunned him. Within a year, he died of heart failure at 58, an ignominious end for a man whose life mirrored the grim fates of the characters he'd played. Legacy of a fallen star. Art imitating life, Neal's detour role as a man trapped by his own choices became a grotesque self-portrait. Hollywood's hypocrisy. His early escape from consequences revealed the industry's willingness to excuse male aggression, until it couldn't. The ultimate cautionary tale. Neal's downfall proved that even in an era of cover-ups, some sins were too bloody to hide. Chico Marx. Chico Marx, born Leonard Marx, was a key member of the legendary Marx Brothers comedy troupe, renowned for his roles in classic films such as Duck Soup, 1933, and A Night at the Opera, 1935. With his exaggerated Italian accent and masterful piano skills, Chico delighted audiences and left them in stitches. However, behind his cheerful on-screen persona lay a chaotic personal life, heavily influenced by his addiction to gambling. Chico struggled with an uncontrollable urge to gamble, often accumulating substantial debts. Whispers circulated that he borrowed money from loan sharks or individuals tied to criminal circles, only to find himself unable to repay them. Some rumors even suggested that he performed minor favors for dubious characters to settle his obligations. Though never confirmed, these stories hinted that Chico may have skirted the edges of corruption to stay financially afloat. The film studios disapproved of his reckless behavior, concerned that his actions might lead to public scandal. His brothers, Groucho and Harpo, allegedly attempted to intervene, helping him manage his finances, but Chico always found ways to continue his gambling habits. While he wasn't involved in major criminal activity, his alleged connections to mob-run gambling establishments cast a shadow over his otherwise lighthearted image. Chico Marx may not have crossed serious legal boundaries, but the notion of a beloved comedian mingling with underworld figures reveals the unpredictable ways fame and personal struggles can intertwine. His story serves as a reminder that even the brightest stars can have complex, darker sides hidden beneath their public personas. Edward G. Robinson, renowned for his unforgettable portrayals of hardened criminals in classics like Little Caesar, 1931, and Key Largo, 1948. Edward G. Robinson cemented his place in Hollywood history as the quintessential tough guy actor. Yet, away from the silver screen, he was a refined and erudite man with a deep passion for fine art, building an impressive collection over the years. However, during the politically charged atmosphere of the late 1940s and 1950s, Robinson found himself entangled in controversy that threatened to overshadow his distinguished career. At the height of the Red Scare, Robinson faced accusations of sympathizing with communist or left-leaning organizations. The House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, interrogated him about his political affiliations and associations. Although he was never officially blacklisted or found guilty of any subversive activities, the mere insinuation of communist ties damaged his professional standing for a time. Ironically, Robinson had previously supported anti-communist initiatives, aiming to safeguard the film industry from ideological infiltration. Adding to the intrigue, rumors swirled that Robinson, partly due to his on-screen gangster persona, had socialized with real-life mobsters. While no concrete evidence ever surfaced, some speculated that his tough guy roles blurred the line between fiction and reality in the public's imagination. Whether these whispers held any truth or were simply the result of mistaken identity, the lingering speculation about underworld connections further complicated his reputation. Though never implicated in serious criminal activity, Edward G. Robinson's struggles with HUAC and the persistent gossip about mob associations highlight how easily Golden Age stars could fall under suspicion. Even the faintest hint of scandal or controversial politics had the power to cast a shadow over an actor's legacy, proving that in Hollywood, perception often carried as much weight as reality. Robert Taylory. Robert Taylor, the dashing leading man celebrated for his roles in timeless films like Camille, 1936, and Waterloo Bridge, 1940, was famously known as the man with the perfect profile. With his refined demeanor and understated charisma, he embodied the ideal Hollywood gentleman, earning the admiration of audiences worldwide. Yet, beneath this polished exterior lay a more complicated reality, one entangled in the political turmoil of the Red Scare and the infamous House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, investigations. In 1947, Taylor appeared before HUAC as a cooperative witness, naming individuals he believed had ties to communist activities. While some speculated that he acted under pressure from the studio, others argued that he genuinely feared communist infiltration in the film industry. Regardless of his motives, his testimony played a role in the blacklisting of several actors and writers, effectively ending careers without concrete proof of wrongdoing. Critics accused Taylor of engaging in a different kind of corruption, using his celebrity status to damage others while shielding his own reputation. For many fans, this betrayal was deeply disillusioning. The actor they once admired for his noble on-screen presence had participated in a process widely condemned as unjust and destructive. Though Taylor continued to work in Hollywood, the shadow of his HUAC involvement never fully faded. His story serves as a stark reminder that corruption in Tinseltown wasn't always about crime or scandal. Sometimes it manifested in the willingness to sacrifice peers to preserve personal fame or secure studio favor. In an industry built on illusions, Taylor's legacy remains a cautionary tale about the cost of political complicity. Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper, the towering screen legend known for his iconic roles in High Noon, 1952, and Sergeant York, 1941, embodied the quintessential American hero, strong, principled, and quietly courageous. With his lanky frame and understated delivery, he became synonymous with integrity on film. Yet, like many of his contemporaries, Cooper found himself caught in the political crossfire of the HUAC, House Un-American Activities Committee, investigations during Hollywood's Red Scare era. Though he never directly named individuals as some other actors did, Cooper testified about encountering scripts he believed contained communist sympathies. His statements, while less aggressive than others, still lent credibility to HUAC's investigations, potentially intensifying scrutiny on screenwriters and creatives. Some fans viewed this as a betrayal, arguing that Cooper, an on-screen symbol of justice, had participated in a system that ruined careers based on suspicion rather than proof. Others defended him, suggesting he acted out of genuine concern to protect the film industry from ideological threats. Regardless of intent, Cooper's cooperation illustrates how political pressure could subtly corrupt even the most respected figures. By aligning himself with HUAC's mission, He helped perpetuate an atmosphere of fear and distrust in Hollywood. Many speculate that actors like Cooper felt compelled to comply to maintain their careers and avoid government suspicion. While Gary Cooper remains celebrated as one of cinema's greatest heroes, this chapter of his life reveals a more nuanced reality. It underscores how even the most revered stars could make choices that, in hindsight, appear ethically ambiguous, proving that in Hollywood, the line between principle and self-preservation was often blurred. Carl Alfalfa Switzer. Most audiences remember Carl Alfalfa Switzer as the freckle-faced, cowlick-haired troublemaker from the beloved Our Gang, later known as the Little Rascals, comedy shorts, where his comically off-key singing and mischievous antics charmed Depression-era audiences. Yet behind this cheerful childhood persona lay an adulthood marred by struggle and scandal. As Switzer grew older, the Hollywood that once embraced him offered few opportunities, pushing him toward increasingly desperate behavior. Unable to sustain a steady acting career, Switzer drifted into petty crime, bar brawls, small-time thefts, and alleged participation in shady dog breeding schemes where he would reportedly steal pets only to find and return them for reward money. While these weren't the organized crimes of Hollywood's notorious gangsters, they revealed a pattern of unethical survival tactics. Local accounts suggest Switzer frequently owed money and hopped between get-rich-quick schemes, his once promising life unraveling into a cycle of debts and disputes. The final act came brutally in January 1959, when Switzer was fatally shot during a heated argument over a $50 debt. The circumstances remain clouded. Some claimed self-defense, others alleged cold-blooded murder. But all agreed it was a shockingly violent end for the 31-year-old former child star. His death certificate tellingly listed his occupation as laborer, a far cry from his early fame. While corruption might seem too strong a term for Switzer's minor offenses, his story exposes Hollywood's darker underbelly, where faded child stars often fell through the cracks. Unlike the political corruption of HUAC-era stars, or the mob ties of some actors, Switzer's tragedy represents a more personal kind of downfall, one where lost fame led to desperation, proving that childhood stardom didn't guarantee a happy ending.